All right, y'all, let's get back to this CNN interview. I just want to share that so you guys can see exactly who we're talking about here when we talk about Candace Owens now. She does not care about anything and anyone but herself. Very soulless. Soulless. 49 people lost their life, and she talking about reachiest reach of all reaches. Girl, bye, Felicia. All right, y'all, let's get to it. Put a 1 in the chat if you can see in here.
If this cult still exists. That's what I'm telling you.
In our government.
At the higher up, yeah, absolutely.
Candace Owens has a lot of ideas about how the world really works. Her podcast is drawing millions of viewers for celebrity gossip and her theories about Charlie Kirk and Jeffrey Epstein. But some of those ideas are anti-Semitic conspiracy theories that I recognize from covering white nationalism for 10 years.
All right, guys, happy Monday. Happy Friday. Get ready because we are going on a journey.
This summer, you've had 3 heads of state respond to you.
Yeah.
Right? You've been sued by the president of France.
I have.
By your retelling, President Trump called you and asked you to lay off calling the president of France's wife a man so it could finish Ukraine negotiations.
Pick up the phone. It is President Donald J. Trump. He is calling me.
And then recently, the Prime Minister of Israel maybe indirectly responded to your and other claims that in the wake of Charlie Kirk's death, he was distancing himself from Israel or softening in his support.
I would only dispute the last claim.
Okay.
I don't know what he was responding to, really.
We're talking to her now because she's having a huge impact on political.
Are you asking? I'm sorry. Kareem asking which lawsuit? So she claims Trump called her about the Macron lawsuit, told her to ease off, accusing the First Lady of France of being born a man with no scientific evidence. Is that what you're asking me, Kareem? Are you able to see the comments? I think others are answering too. It's regarding the Macron lawsuit. They're suing her. Yeah, okay. I don't know if they're getting my comment or not. If you can't hear, you probably have me on mute. All right, let's get back to it.
Political discourse. Powerful people are responding to her, and more people than ever are listening to her.
Candace Owens do be making sense.
Over the last month, she has at times been the #1 trending podcast, the 4th most popular news podcast.
I swear every time she has a podcast drop, I'm just like mind blown. Y'all may think Candace is crazy, but she's onto something.
For years, Owens was known mostly within conservative groups aimed at young people. Her first big job was with Turning Point in 2017. Last March, she was fired from the Daily Wire amid a dispute with colleagues over Israel and charges of anti-Semitism.
That's nice.
She launched her independent podcast a few months later, and her conspiratorial deep dives, where she sometimes builds guilt through association between very loosely connected people, companies, or whole countries, have drawn people deeper down the Candace rabbit hole.
We don't know, but we know, you know? We don't know, but we know.
Since Charlie Kirk's death, Owens has had some of her most popular episodes, as she's claimed law enforcement is covering up a conspiracy.
Rest now, brother. We have the watch.
Kirk's legacy has become a battleground for the fight within MAGA over Israel. Owens has been the principal driver of this story, with her claims that Kirk was angry about pressure he felt from pro-Israel allies and donors to disinvite Israel critics from his conferences.
You've talked about conflicts with donors.
They were threatening him. There's no other way to say it. And it's, I think, shameful that some of the Turning Point people don't.
How did they threaten him again? She didn't share any evidence or documentation to show that they threatened him. You're taking someone that may have had fair criticism about Israel. You know, that same criticism you think that all of Turning Point USA deserves now with no evidence either. And you're saying that he was threatened. Who threatened him and how, Candace Owens? Because let's not forget, Candace Owens is bad at journalism. She's not a journalist. Where's the evidence to show that Charlie Kirk was threatened by Jewish donors, the same Jewish donors that she is sending her candy-ass cult followers after to threaten and send online death threats to? Where's the evidence that he was threatened? And in what way? Because we didn't see any evidence of someone literally threatening him, where they said in any email or text or post, if you don't say or do this, we will do this to you. Because that's a threat, Candace. Your insinuation of them doing something is not a threat. You need to show evidence of a threat being made. We know that you and the candy ass followers don't like to read, but that would involve reading, girl.
Speak out more about it. We all know what was going on behind the scenes, and Charlie was being threatened financially. He felt he was being morally threatened. He felt they were trying to control who he could have speak at his conferences.
About 48 hours before Charlie Kirk died, Charlie informed people at Turning Point, as well as Jewish donors and a rabbi, that he had no choice but to abandon the pro-Israel cause outright. Did he also express that he wanted to bring me, Candace Owens, back because he was standing up for himself? And then did he, just 48 hours later, conveniently catch a bullet to the throat before our on-stage reunion could happen?
Owens posted group chat messages from Kirk saying a Jewish donor had pulled a $2 million donation, and he felt no choice but to leave the pro-Israel cause. Turning Point confirmed the texts were real and said Kirk disagreed with Owens on Israel. There's no evidence donors or Israel had anything to do with Kirk's death, and Owens has not claimed that Israel killed Kirk. But she has spent a lot of time talking about donors and Israel and betrayal in the context of his death.
So what are we to make of that?
When you say you believe that Charlie Kirk was betrayed by someone close to him, what do you mean?
I think that in the coming weeks, there's going to be a lot of financial reports that are coming out, and I first and foremost do not believe that Tyler Robinson killed Charlie Kirk. I want to be very clear on that. Whether he was involved, I think the answer
but no
is
evidence, though.
Yes.
No evidence.
I think that's obvious.
And your basis for saying he didn't act alone is what?
I don't know, maybe the weird Fed messages that were concocted out of thin air that had no timestamp and were written like they were speaking in 1822, among other things. Their lack of an ability to answer any basic questions about what took place.
But do you have any proof that the messages were made up? Because that would be easily proven.
Yeah, but they didn't put timestamps on them, and Discord came out and said they didn't exist.
This was supposedly text messages, not Discord messages. It's my understanding from the indictment.
I actually did not read that they were text messages.
The indictment calls them text messages.
What would it be like the feds are like on a computer, typing it out back and forth?
That's exactly what it is. The feds made up the text messages.
But you don't have anyone from like the FBI telling you that, or law enforcement?
Leaks.
Okay.
No.
Has anyone leaked to you?
And Tyler Robinson has.
But has anyone said to you, even off the record, like, yeah, we faked these?
I have very strong sources everywhere on both sides, from Lance to Robinson's family to federal government, and I am making the statement that those text messages were made up and that they did not come from Tyler Robinson.
Okay. Well, I look forward to seeing the evidence of that.
Because when we keep talking about evidence, it's like, who's going to present that evidence? Like the mainstream media?
Girl.
Like who are you expecting to come out?
Story.
No, it wouldn't be, because, you know.
Doesn't she claim to have the evidence?
It wouldn't be.
If the FBI, if I had a source telling me, if I had proof that the FBI faked those messages, that would be an enormous story.
Yeah, I kind of feel like we live in a post-Epstein world, and we know how stories get shut down.
For years, some in MAGA believed there was a deep state cover-up protecting Jeffrey Epstein's powerful friends. In July, when the FBI said the case was over, suddenly it seemed to some supporters as if Trump wasn't fighting the cover-up, but was a part of it.
Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein?
Maybe recent events have changed this, but you said this summer that Epstein was your number one issue. Mm-hmm. Why is Epstein so important, especially in the MAGA world?
It's important because...
Did y'all catch what she said, that she had leaks?
Seen evidence of that.
Did y'all catch evidence?
You even off the record, yeah, we faked these.
I have very strong sources everywhere on both sides, from Lance to Robinson.
Hold on, I'm gonna go back.
They didn't exist.
This was supposedly text messages, not Discord messages. It's my understanding from the indictment.
She didn't read the indictment.
I actually did not read that they were text messages.
Because she didn't read the indictment at all. See, when you're doing journalism the right way, you have to be specific. You have to put your feelings aside, Candace, because facts don't care about how you feel. And be able to recite what is worded in the indictment itself, something that is accessible to you. See, it's laughable to me that she wants evidence from the FBI, but when it comes to them dropping the indictment, which is available to the public, she doesn't even read that. And none of the candy asses are going to ask her, what school did you attend to obtain 2 degrees? And where's the evidence on that? They won't ask her about that. That would show some level of intelligence here. But yet and still, she didn't read the indictment, the one piece of document that is available to the public. They're not going to sit here and violate federal laws and release federal information regarding a federal investigation. Release evidence that you're not entitled or privy to see. No, they're not going to do that. Absolutely not. Because as much as I want to see the autopsy report, I'm not privy to see it. That is personal identifiable medical information or health information. And it would be an invasion of his privacy, whether the patient is alive or deceased. To release the autopsy report without consent, that consent would come from next of kin, which would be his wife, Erica Kirk. Candace Owens is not entitled to a damn thing. This sense of entitlement that she has is only temporary because, Candace, all they have to do is charge your ass with obstruction and interference. You're talking about you have leaks in the FBI? Yeah, you're interfering with an open federal investigation.
Indictment calls them text messages.
What would it be like the feds are like on a computer, like typing it out back and forth?
That's exactly what it is. The feds made up the text messages.
But you don't have anyone
no
from
proof.
like, the FBI telling you that, or law
I have
enforcement?
leaks.
Okay.
I have leaks. You have leaks from the FBI. So that means whoever those leaks are should be fired and charged. And you should be indicted as a co-conspirator. You're getting information you're not entitled to receive. You're not privy to know. Absolutely deplorable. And what's out there, she's not reading. So how's that for the hypocrisy of it all?
Okay. Yeah. Has anyone leaked to you?
And Tyler Robinson
But has anyone said to you, even off the record, like, yeah, we faked these?
I have
she has
very strong sources everywhere on both sides, from Lance to Robinson's family to federal government, and I am making the statement that those text messages were made up and that they did not come from Tyler Robinson.
Okay.
Prove it. Where's your evidence? Candace, you're bad at this, and I want you to know it. This is the same little girl that was flailing her arms around in Paula White's church, trying to speak some foreign tongue or language of some sort, who now is embarrassed by supporting Trump, the same man she was praying won a re-election in 2020. That was you in Paula White's church.
Well, I look forward to seeing the evidence of that.
You can't make this
Because when we keep talking about evidence, it's like, who's going to present that evidence? Like the mainstream media?
No, you would, heifer, because you're saying that they made up the text messages. You have leaks, so you would have to provide evidence to show how these text messages were forged. You would have to have proof, like a before and after. See, I shouldn't be giving you these tips on how to do this, because you should know how to do this, because you lied about having 2 degrees in journalism and English, 2 things you haven't mastered at all. And the candy asses won't ask her for proof of the 2 degrees. They just won't even ask her to show proof that she understands the English language, because it's the reachiest reach of all reaches.
Like, who are you expecting to come out?
That would be a hot story.
No, it wouldn't be, because,
It would be.
It wouldn't be.
If the FBI, if I had a source telling me, if I had proof that the FBI faked those messages, that would be an enormous story.
Yeah, I kind of feel like we live in a post-Epstein world, and we know how stories get shut down.
For years, someone
she sounds like an airhead, because it's the reaches of our reaches, I just kind of feel like, in this post-Epstein world, things get shut down. That evidence will come from you. You got leaks inside a Turning Point. You got leaks in the FBI. Why are they not giving you documentation? Candace, why are they not giving you documentation again? Why aren't you producing recorded calls? Perhaps an interview with these so-called leaks. You can blur out their faces. Because this is something else here. That's interference in a federal investigation, by the way. You're literally subjecting these possible leaks, if they exist, to losing their jobs and being charged. You can't make this stuff up. This is how I know Candace doesn't know or respect the rule of law. She just doesn't.
MAGA believed there was a deep state cover-up protecting Jeffrey Epstein's powerful friends. In July, when the FBI said the case was over, suddenly it seemed to some supporters as if Trump wasn't fighting the cover-up, but was a part of it.
Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein?
Maybe recent events have changed this, but you said this summer that Epstein was your number one issue.
Mm-hmm.
Why is Epstein so important, especially in the MAGA world?
It's important because multiple people in Trump's administration came out and said, here's what we're going to do when we get into office. We're going to release everything about Epstein, and then we were gaslit about it.
Exactly.
And so it was this major sigh, this major letdown about the promises made and the promises that weren't kept. And this particular issue is a hot button issue because it involves children. This is not a guy who you have to imagine whether or not he was guilty. He pled guilty in a plea deal.
Stop. What does this have to do with the... Where are we at now? How do we get on Epstein here? What does Epstein have to do with you falsely accusing the FBI of forging leaks, of forging text messages?
Came out and said, here's what we're going to do when we get into office. We're going to release everything about Epstein, and then we were gaslit about it. And so it was this major sigh, this major letdown about the promises made and the promises that weren't kept. And this particular issue is a hot button issue because it involves children. This is not a guy who you have to imagine whether or not he was guilty. He pled guilty in a plea deal with Acosta.
Owens often claims that Epstein worked for Israeli intelligence, which a former prime minister of Israel has denied. It is yet another allegation that has been driving the internet MAGA fight over Israel. But the biggest story to do that, of course, is the war in Gaza. Over the last year, a majority of young Americans have turned against Israel over the war, including many conservatives. And Owens has drawn in viewers with criticism of that war. And some of it sounds reasonable, such as objecting to the scale of destruction and human suffering, especially children. But she brings with it conspiracy theories that have roots in dark places.
The issue of Israel is dividing the MAGA base.
I don't think it is anymore. I think we're actually quite united against Israel now. Not the politicians, but the people.
If you look at polls broadly, there is a really strong generational divide.
Yeah, I think Megan said it best when she said nobody under 30 likes Israel.
I'm not disputing that.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if you can, we have different audiences, right? Help my audience understand how and why and in what way that issue is so important.
When people notice what you're doing and you gaslight people and tell them that it's not happening, and then you think that you can just finance and blackmail us into a new reality, it tends to upset people. Like, we're watching what's happening in Gaza, and you're going to keep telling us this is about October 7th, and that October 7th started on October 7th. And then when people say reasonable things, and this is kind of one of the last things that Charlie said, totally reasonable things, AIPAC should have to register under FARA, that I believe my own eyes of what's happening, and I have questions about this, and your response to that is to smear and to libel and to try to ruin people's lives, then you shouldn't be surprised when people look at you like what you are, which is demonic.
And what do you think is happening in Gaza?
And yet, Candace, you have no quarrels with lying like hell. And it's so easy for you. Where's the evidence to prove that you have leaks within the FBI? Or the evidence to prove you have 2 degrees? or the evidence to prove that you have leaks in Turning Point, or the evidence that Tyler Robinson was not the shooter when he confessed to it. You understand that a confession, especially in the form of a sworn affidavit, could be used as evidence to the case. Testimony is evidence, Candace Owens. Because you're bad at this and you don't understand how court works. Testimony is evidence. So where's your evidence to prove that someone else did it? Because if you're saying he's not the shooter, then obviously you have some level of evidence to prove that someone else is. Because like I said the other day, that would be evil and soulless and heartless of you to sit on information where anyone else could possibly be the shooter, and you have valuable evidence to show that. And you're not turning that over to the FBI, and this shooter is walking free. This is one of the reasons why a protection order had to be immediately put in place by the court to protect Erica Kirk and the kids. So what you're saying is, if he didn't pull the trigger and shoot him, then there's a shooter out here on the loose. You see what happens when you lie, Candace Owens? Because that's what it leads to. Okay, so who did it? And why aren't you saying that? Why would you want that person to be out there on the loose? She's so bad at this, it's just disgusting. Candace is not a journalist. She's not an investigator. She's not an agent. She's not a commissioned police officer. She's a gossiper that talks like an airhead, because the reachiest of reaches of all reaches.
It's very clearly a Holocaust and a genocide.
A UN commission has said that it's a genocide. An association of genocide scholars has said it's a genocide. Mm-hmm. Israel says that it's acting within the bounds of the law and it's acting in self-defense after October 7th.
What?
Some of the people who agree with Israel are your old allies in the conservative movement, like Ambassador to Israel Mike Huckabee. You went on his podcast many times. Mm-hmm. He says there's no famine in Gaza. Mm-hmm. So who changed?
So anybody right after October 7th who supported Israel and their efforts, totally understandable. Like, there had to have been some sort of a reasonable response. Anybody who, October 23rd, 2 years into this, is still supporting Israel, looking at what they've done, has to be a psychopath, in my viewpoint.
So Mike Huckabee is a psychopath, in your view?
You either have to be blackmailed, you have to be fearful for your life, or you have to be a psychopath.
Asked for comment, Huckabee told CNN, I will be praying for Candace. It's sad to see her self-destruct.
In 2018, you went to the opening of the U.S. Embassy in Jerusalem. Mm-hmm. Your tweets from the time.
I worked for PragerU.
Your tweets are very pro-Israel from the time. You're even mocking Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez for believing that Palestine is an occupied country. Mm-hmm. So how did you come to change your mind on that?
I was completely, like I think most American citizens, since you've seen how much support for Israel has plummeted quickly, we realized how brainwashed we were, how lied to we were about what was happening in that region. And obviously in politics, my first allies, everyone that was supporting Turning Point, and then I worked for PragerU, were all Zionists. And so they were the ones that were, quote unquote, educating me about what was going on. Obviously that was a world before October 7th. So I think my concern at that time was like, Black Lives Matter in America. I didn't really care about what was happening in the Middle East. I wanted to support Trump. And so the issue itself felt so satellite. And
Wait, what? She's just rambling. Supporting Turning Point, and that I work for PragerU, and she's just saying words. They're not making sense.
The U.S. Embassy in Jerusalem. Mm-hmm. Your tweets from the time.
I worked for PragerU.
Your tweets are very pro-Israel from the time. You're even mocking Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez for believing that Palestine is an occupied country. Mm-hmm. So how did you come to change your mind on that?
She uses mommy.
I was completely, like I think most American citizens, since you've seen how much support for Israel has plummeted quickly, we realized how brainwashed we were, how lied to we were about what was happening in that region. And obviously in politics, my first allies, everyone that was supporting Turning Point, and then I worked for PragerU were all Zionists. And so they were the ones that were, quote unquote, educating me about what was going on. Obviously, that was a world before October 7th.
You said that you all were Zionists?
You were all Zionists. And so they were the ones that were, quote unquote, educating me about what was going on. Obviously, that was a world before October 7th. So I think.
Why weren't you reading and informing yourself based on the facts out here of what was going on? So you allowed yourself to be brainwashed, Candace? Because research and reading is something you can do on your own accord. No one should have to tell you to do that. Especially if you want to walk around here talking about, I'm a journalist, I'm an investigative journalist. We're decentralized here. We don't trust the feds. But you're not reading and researching yourself. Yet again, you failed to read the indictment. That is more all the evidence I need to know. You have no idea what's going on with this case. You're just saying dumb things and making up stuff about Egyptian planes and underground pipes and communistic bees and all this nonsense. You're not even reading the actual court documents related to this case. Andrea Burkhart has an entire Substack page where she has all of the court docs that are available for you all to read if you all want to read them. Because reading is fundamental. And we do that here in the Lady Luck Club. Candace, why were you walking back and forth in Paula White's church, flailing your arms around?
My concern at that time was like Black Lives Matter in America. I didn't really care about what was happening in the Middle East. I wanted to support Trump. And so the issue.
What do you mean Black Lives in America didn't care about the Middle East? I'm sorry. Any organization in the United States of America, are they obligated to care about the Middle East? Here's my question to all the Candy-ass cult followers. Why is Candy more consumed with what's going on in a totally different country she was not born in and does not claim to have citizenship of at all, aside from the UK? And that's because of marriage. And then I question that. Why is she more consumed with what's happening in France or Australia or the Middle East or Israel, moreover than what's happening in the United States of America? Why do Black Lives Matter have to be concerned with the Middle East? They should be more concerned about what's happening here in the U.S. She's not making sense. She's just rambling. It's like she took something. Look at that. Look at his face. Yeah, my freeze frames are iconic.
Me about what was going on. Obviously, that was a world before October 7th. So I think my concern at that time was like Black Lives Matter in America. I didn't really care about what was happening in the Middle East. I wanted to support Trump. And so the issue itself felt so satellite. And then kind of the chickens came home to roost, and they were demanding that you have an opinion, that you say certain things. So I was like, oh, I better get educated about this, like really focus on that. And when I began to focus on it, I'm genuinely shocked, and I'm in equal parts ashamed that I ever supported Zionism. I think it's a demonic, Kabbalistic philosophy. And
but she blamed all Christians for being involved, for being the reason Charlie Kirk was shot. As if she's not a Christian anymore. Is that safe to say? Just Catholic in name only, but not a true Christian? While you sit and actually say Christianity is at fault now? A whole religion. Like, what?
God will have his vengeance on those that are still supporting it.
And do you mean that literally demonic?
What?
Demonic, literally. Demons, yeah.
As you know, you've been criticized for being anti-Semitic.
Well, it's not kind of weird because 4 seconds ago you were talking about how I went to Jerusalem and I worked for PragerU. So something changed. I don't think I woke up one day and decided to hate Jews.
Yeah, it's called views on your videos, you moron. So Candace Owens woke up one day and decided, I'm going to change my views because the things that have been happening in Gaza between Israel has been going on for centuries. You understand that this war goes back to the days of the Bible. It's been going on for centuries. And somehow Candace Owens missed all of history. Because she probably failed history and math and science and definitely English and journalism. You can't make this up. Where's the scientific evidence to prove that Brigitte Macron was born a man again, girl? Yeah, okay.
What Israel's doing. I think Jewish people, as many should use the platforms to speak out against it. If you are a person who
She does this for views.
just follows the first 5 books of my Bible, there's no way that you could support what's happening in Israel. And if you are a person who does support it, then you don't follow the first 5.
What Bible is she reading? What Bible is she talking about? I don't think she's talking about the Holy Bible. What Bible she talking? She said my Bible. Candace, I, unlike you, take word for word what you literally say. That's why we do closed captions here. Did she say my Bible?
One day and decided to hate Jews. I hate what Israel's doing. I think Jewish people, as many who have, should use their platforms to speak out against it. If you are a person who just follows the first 5 books of my Bible, there's no way.
Yeah, she said my Bible. What Bible do you read? Is this for real? Yeah, what Bible is she reading? What? What is she talking about? She said the first 5 books of my Bible, not the Holy Bible, not the Word of God. My Bible. Candace, you're not Jesus. What are you talking about? What Bible are you reading? Does Catholicism have a separate Bible we don't know about? Because I just, maybe Catholicism has, like, whatever sector she's in, they have their own Bible. Because no one says that. A true Christian does not say my Bible. We say the Holy Bible or the Word of God. My Bible?
That you could support what's happening in Israel. And if you are a person who does support it, then you don't follow the first 5 books of my Bible.
Owens sometimes deflects criticism that she dabbles in anti-Semitism by saying Israel supporters charge that any criticism of Israel is anti-Semitic. I've spent a lot of time covering white nationalists at their rallies, trials, and in hundreds of hours of phone calls. Just a month after October 7th, some, like this writer at a white nationalist website, began talking about how there was an unmet demand for criticism of Israel. And if the mainstream wouldn't fulfill it, extremists would. After listening to over 100 hours of Owens's podcast, certain terms kept catching my ear.
Trump is controlled by Zionists. I feel like we're an occupied nation. And now what's happening? Well, we have an occupied administration. There's no question. Trump is occupied by Zionists. Okay, he's completely impotent. He's completely powerless. He cannot say anything that goes against Israel or Bibi Netanyahu. He's letting them do whatever they want.
You can criticize Netanyahu without being anti-Israel, and you can criticize Israel without being anti-Semitic. But some of the themes, talking points, concepts you've used in your criticism of Israel, I'm very familiar with from covering white nationalists for 10 years. It's very unsettling for me to hear things like you saying our government is occupied by Zionists, Trump is occupied by Zionists, we're an occupied nation. Because, like, there's literally a term that's like an 80s, 90s term from white nationalism, ZOG, Zionist occupied government. It's their idea that Jews control the world. And I'm wondering, like, are you intentionally...
Yo, why is the report, the actual CNN reporter is just dropping basic knowledge right now, giving her, basically like acronyms. She's just quoting basic facts while giving her opinion. Because Candace, you can give your opinion without it being purported as a fact, and then still cite basic facts that anyone can look up and research for themselves, because that is how it's done. And she's sitting here like a demon is trying to come out of her, y'all. Look at this freeze frame. Candace is sitting here like Azazel or some demon is trying to just break loose, and it's just fighting back. This has got to be one of the most evil demonic poses I've ever seen from Candace Owens. What is going on with you, girl? It's like you say the name Jesus and she might melt. Who knows?
You saying our government is occupied by Zionists, Trump is occupied by Zionists, we're an occupied nation. Because, like, there's literally a term that's like an 80s, 90s term from white nationalism, ZOG, Zionist occupied government. It's their idea that Jews control.
Shut out to Berea Babes. Shout out to all the content creators that's coming in. Berea Babes, Jay Witt. Can I get my moms to drop the YouTube channel for Berea Babes in the chat? Good to see you in here. Enjoyed your content. I got a video I think you've done that I'm going to catch up on and check out. But make sure you guys check out Berea Babes YouTube channel. Fantastic content creator. She's also keeping her foot on Candace's neck. And we love it. I mean, right is right and wrong is wrong, you know? Like, I don't even sit here and try to deter people from liking Candace. But I don't like big lies, Candace. It's the big lies for me that I don't like. I can't stand when you lie about having 2 degrees that cannot be verified and you've produced 0 evidence to support. It's the big lies for me, Candace. It's the big lies. You know, those big lies that turn into mountaintops. Yeah, those lies.
The world. And I'm wondering, like, are you intentionally referencing those kind of themes?
Wait, just to slow this down. Are you accusing me of white nationalist rhetoric? Because I do have to have a little bit of a giggle about that first.
Well, to me, I'm also like, they'd be no fan of yours.
It's silly. But this is one of the things where I feel like it's such a lesson for CNN. This is why nobody watches it anymore. I mean, it's like you're sitting across from a black person. You're like, I've learned about white nationalism, and you're using white nationalism.
Stop it. What? Candace, let's not pretend like you were never summoned to Congress for a hearing on white nationalism and white supremacy as a black woman. The F you say? Now you get someone asking you questions about it, or she's saying that you're using the same terminology that is used when people speak about white nationalism and white supremacy, such as occupation and occupied. Terms that people don't use unless they're trying to correlate it or connect it to some event where they feel one group of individuals is trying to take over the entire country. Do you not understand that?
Like, are you intentionally referencing those kind of themes?
That's what she's asking.
Wait, just to slow this down. Are you accusing me of white nationalist rhetoric? Because I do have to have a little bit of a giggle about that first.
Well, to me, I'm also like, they'd be no fan of yours.
It's silly. But this is one of the things where I feel like it's such a lesson for CNN. This is why nobody watches it anymore. I mean, it's like,
Candace, at some point, you're going to start losing viewers as well. Because guess what? People are going to be tired of you recycling the same dumb lies about Charlie Kirk's death. And they're going to start seeing that you're grifting off of it, making all this money, getting millions of views. But they're going to get tired of hearing the same old thing from you, where you provide 0 proof or evidence to substantiate any of the crap you said. And the way you do it to soundbite it, and then to see if someone responds just to corroborate what you're saying, as opposed to you saying, here's a video of Candace Owens walking back and forth, throwing her arms and flailing around in Paula White's church. You see, I didn't have to talk about that. I just showed the video. I showed the actual proof of you doing that. While you sit here and insinuate Christianity. Once upon a time, you were praying in a church, hoping that Trump would win a re-election with Paula White. You see that? That's how that goes. I didn't have to mention that and then hope someone posts a video up. Nope, I posted it up myself. That's how you present documentation. Where is your documentation on this stuff? She asked you a yes or no question. You're bad at this. You're very bad at this, Candace. This is why people should not see her as a journalist. She's just a gossiper who's chasing views and trying to get money to cover her attorney's fees because the Macrons are about to sue the crap out of her.
You're sitting across from a black person. You're like, I've learned about white nationalism, and you're using white nationalism.
Like, I know them. I've been to their rallies. I've read all their texts.
I get it. I know. I'm so glad you're educated. But this is when it's like, put it in a book and anybody will say it. It's like, it's just at a certain point.
Candace attacks people who are intellectual and educated. She did the same thing to Piers Morgan. Why are you insulting her about being educated? We're glad that you recognize that, Candace. We're all glad you recognize that this young lady interviewing you is actually educated. Why are you attacking her for it? Is it the guilty conscience speaking about you lying about having 2 degrees? Is that why you lie about it? So that people don't think you're stupid as you sound? Is that it? Oh, I'm on one today.
You have to use your eyes and go, is Candace Owens promoting white nationalist rhetoric? Okay. Immediately, no. So what else could it be? Could it be that actually Zionism is what it actually represents?
What does that mean? Like,
It's,
we're literally
Zionism is a political
occupied?
philosophy. Okay?
Zionist occupied government.
If you look into the history, yes, I believe we are a Zionist occupied government, and we're not the only one. Okay, yes, and I take it to the bank. If you need to walk out of here and say Candace Owens is a white nationalist for you to be able,
take what to the bank? Oh, like you said, you would stake your entire professional career on the fact that Brigitte Macron was born a man, and then they said ditto, and they dropped that lawsuit on you. Are you still willing to continue to gamble with banks and checks and your money and your career professional, whatever you think you got? You're a career con artist, but not a journalist. But since you want to throw it out there and gamble with it, they're like, okay, bet we'll take it from you. You're already, gone. Your credibility is shot, Candace. The moment you lied and said you had 2 degrees, and there's no evidence or proof of that, and then you never speak about these 2 degrees, you never say what school you graduated from, what year you completed these 2 degrees. You've never even shown the degree itself. Not even 1, let alone 2. As arrogant as you are, most people would naturally assume you want to post up your degrees while you sit here and try to look down on someone for actually being educated. She who has not read the indictment. You can't make this up. Who are those leaks in the FBI?
Immediately, no. So what else could it be? Could it be that actually Zionism is what it actually represents?
What does that mean? Like,
It's,
we're literally
Zionism is a
occupied?
political philosophy. Okay?
Zionist occupied government.
If you look into the history, yes, I believe we are a Zionist occupied government, and we're not the only one. Okay, yes, and I take it to the bank. If you need to walk out of here and say Candace Owens is a white nationalist for you to be able to digest it, then that's
why. No one needs to say that. Why are you putting words in her mouth, you idiot? I don't get it. What is she going on and babbling about here? She didn't say you were a white nationalist. She said you're using rhetoric. You're using terminology that you have used when it came to white nationalism and white supremacy. Because you were summoned to a congressional hearing about that. That happened, people. She was summoned to a U.S. congressional hearing regarding white supremacy and her views on that. And white nationalism. They even asked about the KKK. What is she sitting here mad about? She acts like those videos don't exist.
It's fine. You have to deal with that in your own time. But what I will say is
maybe this
I
stuff is
stand
ambient,
by,
and that's where you
I
picked
stand
it
by
up.
every statement that I made, and I want to double down on it. Okay? America is occupied by Zionists.
The Zionist occupied government meme is so old it predates memes. Here's the Wikipedia entry. Here's an archive of the most fascist board on 4chan, over 450,000 results. Here are the results from the old school white nationalist message board Stormfront. There are academic books about it. There are crank books about it. It was mentioned in a congressional hearing in the 90s.
Did they define what they meant by Zionist occupied government?
The government of the United States of America.
Occupied by whom?
The Jewish community.
There's another theory she talks about, the Khazar Empire.
Yeah, the Khazarians just decided to pretend they were Jewish, according to their research in the 8th century.
The Khazar theory is an obscure conspiracy theory suggesting that Ashkenazi Jews, those of Eastern European descent, are not the true Jewish people, but instead are descended from a Turkic people who converted about 1,000 years ago. It's been widely discredited by geneticists and historians. But the idea persists because anti-Semites find it makes useful propaganda when denying Jewish claims to Israel.
I talked to 5 current and former white nationalists about several of the concepts you talk about. The Khazar conspiracy theory, which is this idea that Ashkenazi Jews are descended from this Turkic people, not people in...
It's not a conspiracy.
It is disputed.
It's not disputed. It was written by them in their own books, and they got rid of their books.
It was written by a Jewish person.
Not a Jewish person,
an
Israeli.
Disputed by
and he was awarded
DNA evidence,
and he started a department
now.
at Tel Aviv University, and they've never taken his award back. Okay,
but you see her over talking her when she says DNA evidence, because scientific evidence does not care about your feelings. It is purely based upon fact. Candace, just because you don't want to accept evidence does not mean that evidence does not exist. And I'm still standing on 10 toes when I say that Candace cannot define the word evidence. She doesn't understand the definition of the word evidence, by the way. This is the same person that says Tyler Robinson did not pull the trigger and failed to read the actual indictment or any other court document related to the case. I've read more motions and orders relating to this than she has, and I never met Charlie Kirk. Candace, you're a clown, and I want you to know that. She's saying there's DNA evidence that has debunked this. So all that nonsense you're saying is irrelevant because you cannot get stronger evidence than DNA evidence, period.
You can't just, this is what I mean.
But
you can't just
modern
like
science now.
Modern science. Okay, the same people that control the science are the people that are writing the books.
It's called science. You got blood pumping through your veins. Do you not, Heifer? Perhaps Candace does not have blood or she's not warm-blooded. Maybe she has Freon pumping through her veins. I believe if Candace Owens were to bleed, it would be green ooze. You know, because she's an alien. This girl is not of this planet. I'm telling you all that right now. For someone to reject basic fundamental science, period, is egregious. But yet called the COVID vaccine a hoax. But somehow doesn't understand the basic fundamentals of science, such as, Candace, what does DNA stand for? 10 points if you can actually say the full scientific term for DNA. 10 points.
Their own history book said we are the Khazars. A magic empire didn't disappear in the 8th century.
This is what
I'm talking about Jewish people, Ashkenazi Jews, just so we can, this who is they thing has got to stop. I'm talking about Ashkenazi Jews. I'm talking about the people that established Israel as a nation.
Owens also talks about a group called the Frankists, a heretical Jewish sect that did exist beginning in Eastern Europe in the 1700s. They had weird sex rituals. Some conspiracy theorists claim Frankists are an ongoing cult that has infiltrated the highest levels of society and manipulates world events. One of the most persistent anti-Semitic conspiracy theories.
Everywhere I look, I'm starting to try to chase this like Frankist movement. Where is it? His tentacles are everywhere.
Owens claims there are current practicing Frankists in the government right now, a claim for which there is no evidence.
Does Trump? Does our State Department?
No,
do you think they're controlled by Frankists?
What I said to you is you can pick your lane in terms of the people who would get behind and support a man who raped children.
What?
Are these people being blackmailed? Are these people terrified? Or are these people psychopaths? You can sort them into those buckets. I don't really have the time to. No
one is asking you to. You bringing up things that are irrelevant. Just answer the question, you dingus. Why are you talking like an area, because it's the reaches of all reaches. Like, what is wrong with you? Just answer the question. You're bad at this, Candace. You're very bad at this.
I'm here to tell you is what I actually believe.
These people all say that you are doing a speed run through old school white nationalist conspiracy theories.
Well, then I guess I'm a white nationalist.
I'm not saying you're a white nationalist.
Then what are you saying?
These are anti-Semitic conspiracy theories that have long been a propaganda tactic to delegitimize Jews, to make them seem like a scary, secretive cabal that is controlling everything.
There are tons of Jewish people who are speaking out against what's happening in Israel. And I do believe people in Israel who founded Israel, people like Theodore Herzl, were actually Frankists.
We talked about Frankists a lot, for a total of 8 minutes and 25 seconds.
So yeah, I think this cult still exists. That's what I'm telling you.
In our government.
At the higher, absolutely.
Do you think it motivates
the deep state for sure?
Zionism? Do you think it is a motivation for Zionism?
Well, I think it's weird that so many Zionists.
I think it's weird that she's trying to be condescending. Thank you so much for saying this, Tina. She's so condescending. Do y'all hear how she's talking? She is MK Ultra and doesn't even realize it. Exactly. Y'all, Candace, listen, two can play this game, Candace. You're sitting here looking like you're high on something, girl. Like you're having a hard time holding your big head up. Your neck is rolling all over the place with your eyeballs. It looks like your eyes extended past the point of, no return here. That's not normal. You see how we can just say things randomly, Candace? You see this? Two can play this game, you heifer. I know you watching, little girl. We can all do this. We can sit here and nitpick and just make statements about you. I'm just making observations. Candace, why does it sound like you're just, slurred in speech? Were you aware that George Farmer was one of the chairmen of Turning Point UK? Was it truly a coincidence that you just so happened to fly out? You two got engaged after 18 days? Or is it at some point going to become public of some emails or some exchanges where you probably was talking to him before you flew out there? That's too much of a coincidence. We know you researched him. You Google him, then find out he had a boatload of money for you to marry somebody in 18 days. And then ironically, he's the chairman of Turning Point UK. I have some questions about that. A lot of questions about that, Candace. See, we can do this all day. We can do this all day, Candace. We can do this all day. Very interesting to me how all of a sudden you met somebody in the UK in 18 days, y'all are married, and he so happened to be one of the chairmen of TP UK. A chairman of Turning Point. And you're supposed to be one of the Masons. Make this make sense. She's one of the persons that claims to be a Mason, right? Only worked there 2 years, though. And somehow she did not know who the other chairmen were in Turning Point across the world, in other countries. Yeah, make that make sense to me. Anybody understand what I'm saying here? How do you go out, take Charlie Kirk's credit card, book a flight to go to the UK, and meet a man and marry him in 18 days, and he just so happened to be the chairman of Turning Point UK, and you are a Mason in Turning Point, and you didn't know that this man existed, that he was a chairman in Turning Point? You didn't know that? You're a founding, thank you, Yuck 2.0. You're a founding Mason of Turning Point USA, Candace. And somehow you had no idea at all before you flew out there to the UK that George Farmer was a chairman of Turning Point UK. You didn't know that at all? How do you not know that? Make that make sense. You're supposed to know all the big wigs in Turning Point. You wouldn't know another chairman that might be in another country? You can't make this up. But yet, she can tell you all what's going on when it comes down to how long it takes to book an event and all this other stuff. But somehow she didn't know that George Farmer was one of the chairmen of Turning Point UK before she married him. But that make sense to me? And this man got money. I don't even know what he does for a living. Now he just helps her with her YouTube channel. Yeah. See, Candace, we can all speculate things too, girl. Because we can do the same thing. Anything you can do, we can do 1,000 times better. Trust me on that.
I know keep defending children being raped doesn't make me comfortable.
Who is defending children being
Any person
raped?
that is defending Jeffrey Epstein.
I want to look at this more big picture, right? So people have accused you of your criticism of the war in Gaza as being motivated by anti-Semitism, which you deny. Can you look at it from a different perspective? Are you delegitimizing criticism of the war in Gaza by tying it to these conspiracy theories about Frankists and things that
I didn't tie it to those conspiracies. What's happening in Gaza is wrong, and any person that can't acknowledge that is either being blackmailed, is either a psychopath, or they're fearful for their life. What's happening in Gaza, I can see with my own eyes. It's not conspiracy theory, and by calling everything a conspiracy theory doesn't make it so.
I feel like you actually got.
But you theorize things. That's the basis of the word theory. Candace, these are more words you can't define because you're bad at this. When you theorize and make assumptions, you're creating these theories. These are basic terms that you should know the definition of and the concept of. This isn't difficult here.
More careful with your language, because when I first started listening, I'd be like, who's they, Candace? You'd be like, they want you to believe this, they want you to believe that.
Why do you say who is they?
Exactly.
It's a word. Like,
you.
okay, so why do people
But I know
do that?
I'm not the only one because you addressed it.
Okay, they meaning who is the actual subject that you're speaking about, Candace, because seems like it's another word that you're having a tough time understanding and comprehending. Is this another word you can't define? They? You know, a word you should have learned when you were in the first grade. I can't believe she doesn't understand the concept of the question. Who is they? What noun are you referring to? A person, place, a thing? What person or groups of people are you referring to when you say they? What's so difficult about this?
On one of your podcasts, you're like, you guys are always saying,
She's
who's
not
they?
number one in the
Well, I
world.
mean, Israel, not Jews.
But like, it's just,
You
they is a
have
word.
addressed it.
They is a word. So like, I don't need to always like say they. Like, it's just a weird,
But
it's
you
like, this is
do.
one of these psychology tactics where you're like, who is they? Who is they? And it's like,
Because it sounds like you're saying Jews.
does the word they mean Jews?
When you're talking about Jews, yes.
But if I'm not talking about Jews, then they doesn't mean Jews. When I say they want us to believe this.
So who is they then? That's what she's asking you, dingus. When you're not referring to Jewish individuals, who is they? What persons are you referring to when you say they? And why can't you have a spine and say the individuals you're talking about? Why do you have to keep referring to whoever these people are as they? If you're referring to white people, just say white people. If you're referring to black people, say black people. If you're referring to Jewish individuals, you say the Jewish. You say the Zionists with no problem. Are you referring to people in Australia? You say Australians. Why is it so difficult for you to correlate that when it comes to the simple question she's asking you? Who is they referencing when you say they? If you're not talking about Jews, then who is they? Are you talking about Muslims? I mean, who are we talking about here? Not a difficult question.
So they want us to believe that, and you hear Jews, that's your own derangement, right? If I want to say something about Jews, I'll say it. If I want to say something about Israel, I will say it. If I want to, just like when I want to say something about black people, I'll say it. When I was saying during BLM, they want us to believe, nobody said, do you mean Jews? And so again, it's one of these trash tactics to make people fearful to speak. If I want to say Jews, I will say Jews. I don't fear saying Jews. When I say Zionists run the media, I mean Zionists run the media. People that support the political ideology of Israel run the media. Any other things that I can help clarify?
But are you familiar with this like very long-standing trope?
Couldn't give a shit about a trope. Literally, please don't even go down the line.
She doesn't understand the definition of trope. That's why she doesn't care about it. Just as an FYI to you all. To the candy asses, this is your cult leader who does not understand definitions of terms such as they, or trope, or evidence, or proof, or lie. You know, because the reachiest of all reaches of all reaches, the reachiest reach of all reaches, you know, somehow that is a phrase to her. But when it comes to a simple question of who is they, when you're not speaking about Jews, now she gets an attitude about it. Why are you throwing a tantrum, Candace? You're too old for this. Why are you throwing a tantrum? You sound like a petulant child yet again. And you're trying to be condescending. Thank you for acknowledging that this CNN reporter is educated and definitely smarter than you are. You can't make this stuff up. This is the same airhead that has failed to read the indictment of Tyler James Robinson. Yeah, because she doesn't understand the difference between a Discord message and a text message. Two different words, Candace, two different words.
So boring for me. It is so racist trope, anti-Semitic tropes, all strategies to get us fearful to speak. I want the world to know.
I'm telling you, these white nationalists, Candace, like, I'm not, like, seriously.
I have to tell you something also. You're white, so if the white nationalists are here in the room with you right now,
no,
I should be more fearful. I talked to them on the phone and they
laugh.
Okay, because
including one you interviewed.
By the way,
Nick Fuentes.
They should laugh because what you
they laugh at the tropes that you are putting out. They're like, that is lowbrow stuff.
Okay.
These are people who
red meat to your base.
We're literally doing Nazi solidarity.
Oh my, yeah, it's red meat to her base. Because Candace doesn't even know who her audience is at this point. Candace, you've influenced white nationalists to attack mosques, and you've influenced, individuals to attack a synagogue or to send death threats to Jewish conservatives. So you don't care about the effect of what you say and the danger behind it that it poses on someone's life. Did she ever out that other Jewish donor? Because if she does, that Jewish donor should sue the crap out of her and point out that Candace does not understand the definition of the word trope. Because she got it coming.
Years ago.
Okay.
And they are laughing at some of those tropes you put out because they think it's lowbrow and too far out there. Like it's too crazy for people who threw up Nazi salutes.
Okay.
You are like putting out into the world this like connection between these like really ugly ideas and criticism of a war that can be valid.
I said what I meant. If you'd like me to clarify any statements that I made, I'd be happy to do it. But
no one wants you to clarify anything because you can't even answer a yes or no question with a yes or no answer, nor can you define trope. So nope. Yeah, I think clarifying anything would just, no one is in the mood to go down that rabbit hole with you, girl. No, don't clarify nothing. this man, she, instead of her answering questions, she's being condescending after acknowledging that she's educated, that the CNN reporter is educated. Candace, where's the proof of your 2 degrees? We're waiting.
But trying to do some roundabout way of being like, well, Nick Fuentes held a Nazi symbol and he says it. I don't care about what Nick Fuentes said. I don't care about your feelings.
Well, I think your mind. You changed your mind about Israel.
Yeah, I did. But here's the thing. I think you're trying like a hatchet job at psychology, and I don't want to waste your time.
It's not about psychology.
Well, I know.
Condescending she tries to be, you still sound like an airhead, Candace. You're an airhead.
But like,
this
I
is
don't.
about like
I want to help focus you. You're not going to be able to get even 1 inch on my perspectives on Israel. You're not going to be able to get me to believe or invest in some trope that I am saying that what they are doing is wrong and that the government is demonic. So if you have anything else you'd like to talk about, I don't want you to spend your whole hour, trying to draw blood when you're not going to get it.
When you say, you have also said Israel is a demonic nation.
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Demonic. I've said that several times.
You mean this literally, right?
Like literally possessed by a demon, okay, to shed that much blood, and then to have people that willfully gaslight people about that. It can be only a demon, a full satanic possession has to descend, and that's what's happening. So anything else I can help clarify?
Owens has a long history of being provocative. Her upcoming book is called Make Him a Sandwich. And earlier this year, Owens gained a tremendous amount of fame with an 8-part series claiming Brigitte Macron was born a man, that she was actually her own brother, and stole Brigitte's identity in the 80s.
You can't
the
make
Macrons denied it, Owens doubled down, and they sued her for defamation in July. Her series builds suspicion through association, with a wide cast of characters from a fashion designer to an ancient Roman statue dug up in the Macrons' hometown. But for her core claim that Brigitte isn't a woman, there's no proof.
Why does it matter?
It matters because it is government corruption. It's the same reason the Epstein story matters, and it matters because children were harmed.
But you're not accusing Brigitte of harming children.
Actually, Macron, it's statutory rape, and that's what we're going to court over.
No, you're not. Nope, you lying heifer. You filed a motion to dismiss against the original complaint, and then filed a motion to dismiss along with the motion to strike the first amended complaint from the Macrons. You lying heifer. You lie like it's breathing air for you. You are lying, Candace. You're not pursuing a damn thing. You're trying to get that case dismissed. And won't even admit it. And I told you all I'm staying on top of that case. I'm reporting everything on it. Y'all heard it here first in the Lady Luck Club. Candace, you are literally trying to get that case dismissed. You're not suing. You're not even insinuating that the premise of the 8-part series or any of that was because you believe that she was solely just dating a minor here. No, you accused her of being born a man. Then you said she had a sex change. Then you said she's really her brother. Then you said she died and her identity was given to her brother. You come up with some of the nastiest BS that even, I don't know if all of hell is proud of you for this level of lying you're doing or what. But it's so outlandish. They're suing you for purporting your so-called dumb theory to be a fact that Brigitte Macron was born a man. That is the premise of that lawsuit. Yet another piece of document you have failed to read. Because she didn't read it. Y'all, she just flashed up 200 pages of the complaint. She didn't read a damn thing. And won't even admit. My attorneys filed a motion to dismiss and a motion to dismiss with a strike. Nope. You got to come to the Lady Luck Club to get that, because Candace Owens won't even admit that much, because Candace, deep down, you're a spineless coward. You can't even tell your cult following that you filed a motion to dismiss, because anyone that doesn't want something dismissed will not file a motion to the court asking them to dismiss it. Do you understand how that makes no sense? The hypocrisy of it all. It's the hypocrisy for me, Candace. And you lying about it. You know, the big lies, not the little lies. It's the big lies for me. The big lies.
So, yeah.
You're not going to court over the fact that she got together with Emmanuel Macron when he was 15. They admit that.
I'm saying that actually Emmanuel was 14 and it was statutory rape.
The Macrons say this is false, and that they met when Brigitte was 39 and Emmanuel was 15. The lawsuit says they informed Owens it was false in a December letter.
Do you think you'll be victorious in court?
Yeah, because truth is a
Do you think you'll be victorious in court? Yeah, because truth is, Candace, how? You filed a motion to dismiss. Your 3 attorneys that all went to law school, who should be sanctioned if they allow you to go in and have that tone and to sit here and play word salad in the court with a jury and a judge. Your 3 attorneys filed a motion to dismiss. You're not trying to fight anything. You can't make this up. How are you trying to fight this lawsuit? You want it to go away, girl. Then you're crying and whining and throwing tantrums, talking about they're trying to bankrupt me. They're trying to bankrupt me. How dare they? Well, you have no scientific evidence to prove that Brigitte Macron was born a man. Because she wanted the blood of the first lady. Shout out to CJ for saying that. You can't make this up. She says she wants the blood of the first lady. You know, I have my doctors. They fly out, get a little blood, take care of this real quick. Yeah, that's what you said in the whole video. That will be used against you in the court of law, Candace. Keep talking. All these videos, every single time you lie about that case, these videos will be used against you in the court of law. They're going to slam dunk your face with a multi-million-dollar lawsuit. And it will not be difficult for them to win because they're bringing scientific evidence, something you're not privy to have.
Met when Brigitte was 39 and Emmanuel was 15. The lawsuit says they informed Owens it was false in a December letter.
Do you think you'll be victorious in court?
Because it was false.
Because truth is a defense against defamation, and I'm telling the truth.
No, you're not. No, she's not. Truth is a defense against defamation. Candace, mighty funny how you're asking for the court to dismiss it based on lack of jurisdiction. It ain't got nothing to do with no truth. Heifer, you are lying your ass off. Look at this demon trying to come out. Y'all look at that pouty face. Oh, the pouty face. Candace, you're like a petulant child throwing a tantrum. Look at that pouty face. Yeah, my freeze frames are iconic. This is why I'm the queen of this. Look at this. That pouty face. Somebody's got the pouty face because she's lying. You know, we're going to pull up the Macron's lawsuit after this for fun. Just for fun.
Emmanuel Macron, when he was 15, they admit that.
I'm saying that actually Emmanuel was 14 and it was statutory rape.
The Macrons say this is false, and that they met when Brigitte was 39 and Emmanuel was 15. The lawsuit says they informed Owens it was false in a December letter.
Do you think you'll be victorious in court?
Yeah, because truth is a defense against defamation, and I'm telling the truth.
No, you're
We
not.
asked the White House for comment on
Lying ass.
Owens' claims about President Trump. The White House did not respond. Turning
Nope.
Point also did not respond to a request for comment.
And they shouldn't. Don't respond to Candace Owens. It's like feeding the monkeys in the zoo. Don't do it. You know, you go back, they just keep coming. They can tell you're coming back. You fed them once before. And they come back to you again because they're expecting you to feed them again. The next thing you know, they stop finding their own food on their own. You can't make this up. Turning Point USA does not need to comment. They know Candace is full of shit.
Candace Owens reflects the reality of the new media ecosystem we live in. Whether you think that's great or terrible, it's the way it is. There's a temptation to treat figures like her as fringe players not worthy of attention. But we do that at our own peril.
That was it. Y'all, this is it. We do that at our own peril. I'll make sure. Yep, that was it. Oh, what do y'all think? Tell me what you think about this. Because this young lady, the CNN reporter, did a fantastic job. She saw that Candace was being defensive and trying to be condescending. And, you know, she knows that Candace is an airhead. She's probably got more background facts on Candace than Candace could even comprehend. And the fact that she did cite facts, you know, that can be researched, information that has been debunked with scientific evidence, made this all worthwhile.